Hey guys, Magic Man here, and today I'm going to be bringing you another sort of talking about ranked season video after actually hopping on to the test server and playing some of the ranked matches. It would appear that my first initial discussion before actually having played on the test server might be a little bit wrong, and that's due to the map setup. The caps for the new rank season are going to be very close together, probably half the distance of the normal cap separation on a typical tier 6 map, and the caps are going to be very small, so you're looking at maybe 10 kilometers from one cap to the other side of the other cap. So there's going to be a very small distance in between both of the caps. And I feel like the Farragut, because of how much of a bully it is at tier 6 against the other destroyers as far as cap control goes and things like that, it's going to basically win you the game. Not only that, but the Farragut has more of a team play sort of factor. And once you get into higher ranks, like probably rank 5 and above, you're going to be facing what some people call the death ball tactics. And that's essentially, at those ranks, everybody stays fairly close to each other, and, the only, excuse me, the only people who try and go off by themselves and do things, they usually get countered very hard by the enemy team. So I feel like the Farragut's probably going to win out. It's going to come out on top as far as the best destroyer for ranked play goes. With Concealment Expert, you can get the concealment down to like 6.6 or 6.5, and with the torpedoes being 6.4 kilometers, you're basically only going to use them for self-defense, which is fine, but torpedoes are not a consistent form of damage. And I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of the torpedo boats, is that you're not going to be able to count on those torpedoes to always score you damage. Guns, on the other hand, they're always going to be a consistent source of damage. You'll always be able to hit people with them, and that being said, every single one of those shots dispersed over or under that destroyer right there, which is pretty impressive. I actually just shot an ally there because he sailed right in front of me. Should never do that. If somebody's shooting, just don't sail in front of them. You're asking to get shot, because I didn't see that guy coming. Now with that being said, the Farragut, it's going to be really good at controlling cap points. It's also going to have the longest smoke screen, and that's going to be a big deal in rank, because typically the person who has the most battleships near the end of the match is the one who wins, because the bigger guns are always going to do consistent damage. Big battleship guns always do damage. And, with the fact that the American destroyers are going to have great smoke screens, I think that's going to really work out for team play. So that's another thing the Farragut's got going for it. It's also very maneuverable, because the caps are going to be so close together in these maps. You're going to be getting into knife fights with other destroyers, and if your destroyer doesn't have good turret rotation or a good rate of fire, you're probably going to get roasted. So that's also a negative too. But these are just some of my thoughts, and from what I've seen, that typically is the way that it goes down. Excuse me real quick. Been talking a little bit too much today. My voice is kind of going away on me. So with that being said, the Shinonome and the Fubuki are also going to be decent picks as far as destroyers go. But as you can see here, I'm basically smoking up my team and basically just kind of being a bully and forcing the enemy out of this area. Very team-oriented play. It looks like most of the enemy team is over here, so my team's not going to have too much of a problem here. And yeah, I'll be able to continue to smoke up my team, draw out these big, long smoke screens for everybody to hide behind, and basically keep everyone sort of concealed while I'm able to, you know, sit in those smoke screens as well and blaze away with my guns. The Farragut has 12.9 kilometer range guns on it, so you can reach out and touch somebody with this ship. And with these with the fire rate, you've got a decent fire chance, so you can set people on fire. You're not going to be doing a whole lot of damage with the guns themselves. I've actually got 64 hits so far in this game, and I've only done 10,000 damage, so you know, it's really the fires that are going to do the damage for you, not so much the actual damage from the HE shells. Maybe if I had inertia fuse high explosive, I'd be doing a fairly good amount of damage. And these guys are actually going to sail right into these torpedoes because they were not paying attention. Okay, so pretty sure it's going to be Farragut as the top destroyer this ranked season. For as far as cruisers go, what I saw on the test server, it looks like it's going to be the Bujoni. Because of how relatively well armored it is for a cruiser, and the fact that the guns have good velocity, flat shell arcs, they're going to be good for killing destroyers. And that's what people are going to be doing in them, is killing destroyers. And I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention here because of the lighting. I was trying to look for the edge of the smoke screen there. And we actually synced the Fubuki. I actually did a majority of the damage myself, so that was definitely awesome. And because these guys are so close together, I launched one tube of torpedoes for the guy in the front, and then I launched the second one for the guy in the back. And we'll see what happens here. Hopefully I can get some flooding. We got 2 floodings on the guy in the front, and I don't actually get any floodings on the guy in the back, that's okay though. That is definitely okay, because he's such low health. He should be a pretty easy target for somebody to take out. And yeah, my team is doing quite a bit of work on them, but from what I saw in rank, the Bujoni has it all. He's got a spotter plane. There's not going to be any battleships that really have more range than you, outgun you at tier 6. And so the Bujoni is going to be a really strong cruiser, and that's not to discount the Cleveland or the Leander or even the Alba. It's just the Bujoni's got a lot going for it. You can have defensive AA, you can have hydroacoustic. You have to pick between those two, but you know, you can have either or. And then on top of that, you know, you've got a spotter plane, so you can be effective against all sorts of targets. And the spotter plane is really going to be useful for shooting into smoke, because you're not going to have radar this season. And if you know how to shoot into smoke, then you're going to do really well in that ship. And that goes for any other battleship with a spotter plane too. If you have a spotter plane and you know how to shoot into smoke, you're going to be doing really great this season. It's going to be a very valuable tool, because there's not going to be radar to spot people. Oh, excuse me. So it's got that going for it. Now the other ships, you know, the Cleveland, the Leander, the Alba, there's some premiums out there. I wouldn't recommend really any of the premiums. They're fairly soft ships. But those ships, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of cruisers, and they're all fairly good, but I think the Bujoni is definitely the best out of all of them, considering the ranges that we're going to be fighting at. And also because it will still be fairly stagnant gameplay, with it having, you know, 66% of its firepower up in the front. It's going to be good for going bow on, tanking stuff, and basically just getting into destroyers' faces and making them feel uncomfortable. So That being said, the battleships, you know, I feel like it's probably going to be Dunkirk, probably Arizona. The Arizona has basically a better armor layout than the New Mexico, but New Mexico is going to be good too. I don't know so much about the Fuso. Its turning circle is not as tight as the others, and it doesn't really have the speed. I know it's got a lot of guns, but you know, it doesn't have a whole lot of armor. So I don't know about the Fuso. You'll definitely see some war spites. The turret traverse on those is really slow, so I don't know. You're definitely going to see, you know, the battleships is kind of a toss-up, because battleships, they're basically, their only purpose in ranked is to basically sit and smoke and shoot at things with their big guns. And typically the team that has the most big guns at the end of the match is typically the one that wins. So you know, that's just what I've seen. Who knows how it'll actually play out once it hits a live server and everybody starts playing, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I feel like maybe the Dunkirk, because of its bow-on play, and probably the German battleship, I think it's the Bayern, because you can't really citadel that thing. You have to be at a long range at a certain angle to citadel it. So it'll be very forgiving for battleship players playing that. And also because it has a very flat deck, people spamming you with HE aren't going to do a whole lot of damage unless it's fire damage. So it's also got that going for it too. So those will probably be the top 3 battleships: Arizona, Dunkirk, and where was it storing these at? Settings, relive, users, Josh, videos, right on live. And probably the Bayern. That was the one that I was trying to think of there. I think those are going to be probably the strongest battleships. Of course, at tier 6, I don't think there's anything as a bad battleship. They are all pretty good in my opinion. But definitely the Farragut and the Bujoni are, I think, are going to be the other 2 strongest ships. You'll see some others in there, that's for sure. Leander, definitely. Ernst Gade, probably the Fubuki and the Shinome. I don't know if any of the Russian destroyers will make it up to rank 1 though. We'll see. But this was just sort of some gameplay to see how the Farragut sort of plays. Even though this wasn't game of domination, still held out pretty good and definitely bullied some ships around there. But even in a tier 8 game, you know, the Farragut still holds its own pretty good. And we'll see what this this ranked season brings for us. It'll be definitely interesting. I still think it's going to be a smoke meta, but maybe not as much as it was last season at tier 7. But anyways, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more. And